Hey everyone, it's Mudjub Jr. As per usual, continuing here with another DLC weapon guide as I happen to earn them from the reserve system. We finally have the Ballistic Knife secondary weapon of the special weapon category. But nevertheless, let us dive straight into the detailed stats. In essence, the Ballistic Knife is currently the first of two instant kill projectile-based secondary weapons in Black Ops 4. Thus, much like the Stingray or the crossbow, predicting enemy movement is a must to succeed with this weapon. Like always, starting off with the rather simple damage profile, the Ballistic Knife is capable of an instant kill at all ranges regardless of where the knife hits in particular. So whether it hits in the head, toe, or even a 200 HP armored opponent, you can always expect to see a one-hit kill. However, getting a hit across the entire map isn't the easiest feat thanks to the prominent knife travel time and drop. So starting off with the drop, as seen on screen, drop only effectively plays a factor into mid-range, as by then the knife drops by around the same height as a player, thus aiming above the head is only generally needed at the range shown. However, if the target is partially covered, this general rule doesn't hold up too well, since you'll have less than a full target to aim at, so some guesswork will be needed. But unless if you're using the gas-powered attachment, which will significantly improve knife trajectory by reducing drop by roughly 10 times, which makes compensating for height almost completely unnecessary for the ranges that are typical for this weapon. Although, while the drop isn't the most serious issue here, the knife travel speeds is the main culprit for missed shots. Using the same clip from before, the knife will hit the wall at around 500 milliseconds after firing, which is actually a substantial amount of time considering that most gunfights would have already long ended by then. Therefore, unless your opposition is standing still or moving in one direction, I heavily recommend against taking gunfights at anything further than close range. But once again, using the gas-powered attachment will speed this up greatly by doubling knife travel speeds, which will make the knife travel the same distance in just about 250 milliseconds instead. This of course makes mid-range encounters a lot more manageable than before. Finally, moving on to output, the Ballistic Knife has a standard rate of fire of a measly 55 RPM, which is actually just around standard of most bolt action snipers in the game, which means that you're gonna have to make your shot count as you'll only really have opportunity for 1 to 2 shots in most gunfights. To boost this, equipping fast reload will increase your rate of fire to 70 RPM, or using extra blades will bring us to 95 RPM, by providing a 4-blade mag, or so to speak. Although stacking these together is generally useless since a fast reload after firing 4 blades is generally not needed, since you most likely would have killed any opponents that you're fighting by then. If you equip the dual wield operator mod, all RPMs will be effectively doubled as straightforward since you'll be able to fire 2 blades instead of just 1. Moving on to ammo capacity, the standard Ballistic Knife will provide a total of 3 blades. Extra blades will raise this up to 4 blade total, and while the operator mod will grant a total of 8 blades regardless of what attachments you may use, even if you're using the extra blade attachment. So finally, with the stats out of the way, let's move on to our optimized Ballistic Knife build. Starting off with the Ballistic Knife, we use both the gas-powered attachment and the dual wield operator mod, since gas-powered is an absolute must by allowing mid-range fights to be within reason. but it is also to make a significantly easier time to take down opponents that are up close through the faster ballistics. Next, the Operator mod is indispensable as it allows for the quick staggering of 2 shots, which is how I recommend using them as seen in the video, since this allows for more consistent results if you tend to swipe your aim across opponents. Attempting to sub in extra blades somehow is not very necessary, as it should be your goal to get your kill within the first 2 blades, as if you shoot any more than that, it will already have given your opposition ample opportunity to retaliate if you miss, regardless of what attachments you may have been using. For perks, we use Scavenger, which is to replace lost blades, which is actually very typical when taking on longer range engagements. Next, we pair up Ghost and Dead Silence to maximize the stealth build, which makes for closing distances and flanking your opponents exceedingly easy, especially since the Ballistic Knife does not even appear on radar if you fire. And thus concludes the Ballistic Knife weapon guide. As for any last bit of advice I can give, absolutely try avoiding head-on fights with more than one enemy, as it will almost never turn out well unless you're somehow able to land both Ballistic Knife shots very quickly and while flinching, which from my experience is definitely not the easiest of tasks. But regardless, if you're able to get the hang of the required quirky playstyle, you'll quickly discover how easy it can be to wreak havoc on the opposition. But anyways, if you found this guide useful, I very much appreciate any likes, subscribing, and sharing that you all do. And as always, thanks for stopping by, and until the next video.